never really mattered to us how it came here or why it was here, but we felt the necessity to try to protect it as much as we could. If it needs something, what does it need? Almost every morning is the best time of the day for me. I've always loved early mornings. And I like to make my coffee, sit in a chair, and just kind of meditate. I enjoy watching the sunrise. Frequently when I'm looking out over the water, that comes to mind about how much things have changed in my lifetime. It was a young boy's dream to have a home on the water, look out and enjoy the view that's offered every day. Across the way is Jockey Ridge. It's not growing in height, it's growing in diameter, as all the hills do. In this area, they move to the southwest. My parents and grandparents that were here on the island said that the island was always full of grapevines. And most every family on the north end of Roanoke Island had a scuppernong grapevine in their yard. The north part, being a sandy soil, is what the grapevines look for. But the rest of the island and the south part of the island, there were very few grapevines down there. And so the grocery stores had a market for them. My first money that went in my pocket that I made came from the sale of grapes off the grapevine, old scuppernong grapes. In 1939, I was picking some grapes at my grandmother's and grandfather's yard when I saw a lot of smoke. My grandfather had an old Model T truck. He said, let's ride downtown and see what's happening. It was quite a scene. Major fire in town that destroyed probably 50–60% of our town waterfront with what stores and post office and everything on the waterfront. At the time that I first spotted the fire, and I was on top of the grapevine picking grapes. When we first moved here, which was 1957, I think it was, the grapevine I knew all about and knew it was there, and we knew we joined it.
The vine ties you and I together for all these years.
Yeah. First important thing to us was the fact that that's our neighbor. That's a good neighbor. We won't have any hard times with each other. With this age, you never know what to expect, I guess, but the harshness of the winter doesn't really concern me about the vine. I figure if it's been here this long and done well, that weather's not going to be the key to a problem with it. The main thing is to make sure that it starts to bud around everywhere. So we haven't had the weather that will bring it out, but I think it's coming. In the early part of spring, as it changes over to warmer weather, the sap begins to rise. Frequently when I'm looking out over the water, there's never a time that I can't sit in a chair there and look out and see something I'm real happy to look at and enjoy and appreciate the fact that it's there and that I'm here to see it. And how lucky I am to still be here. In the spring, when it first starts to come back, and the first thing you know, you see little sprouts making off, and then the leaves start. It goes through just about the same stage every year. When that grapevine has green leaves, they stay green no matter how much a lack of rain that we may have. Our yards may turn brown, some of our trees may turn, but that grapevine feeds itself. It has, as most people say, as much root in the ground as it does vine on the top. And there was some researcher from a college that came here to try to determine the age. At that time, they started talking about in excess of 400 years old. The theory that it was probably the first cultivated vine in America. It was the old mother grapevine. How the mother vine got here, I really don't know. There have been so many stories. Everything from the fact that it was brought over by the lost colony to where the Indians cultivated.
One of them said they were sure that the colony had cuttings on that ship from the scuppernong grape that they brought over at the time they actually landed in this area. Another one that when they arrived, there was a sweet aroma of grapes. Everything smelled like grapes, which was right. No one would ever know.
The only thing I can tell you is I know that it's been here 90 years. It's never really mattered to us how it came here or why it was here, but we felt the necessity to try to protect it as much as we could. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. It came as a surprise. Everything was doing normal. I noticed some browning in the leaves right on that power pole. The power company, they were going all over Roanoke Island, and they were actually spraying and cutting the clearance of the power lines. Probably didn't even know what they were spraying, didn't realize it was a grapevine that was important to anybody. And that spraying had started advancing real fast into the mother vine, and it looks for the roots to kill the vine. So then I knew we had to cut back onto the vine. We got a hold of a person down in Wilmington, and he cut a piece of the vine and said, "You see the little brown in there?" I said, "Yep." He said, "That's poison." So I've got to cut further back on this vine than that. From the day that he came and started cutting the vine, it was probably 6 weeks. He did get ahead of it, and he did stop it. The power company, they were as cooperative as anybody could ask anybody to be. I'm so happy that it did work out that way, and that the vine is, in my opinion, over the shock of the poison. And I hope the vine appreciates the protection that we're trying to give it. I've had such a great life. No complaints.
Good morning.
Good morning. Maybe my lifespan has something to do with how much association I've had with scuppernong grapes. Who knows? I can't say it does, I can't say it doesn't. Only thing I know is I'm still enjoying it.
You see some? Oh yeah, I see them now, sure. I haven't given it as much time as Jack, but I love the vine. And it's part of me.
Even today, when the time is right, you could ride anywhere up in this mother vineyard area and you will get that aroma, a sweet, delicious smell from the old mother grapevine.